So what are some of the problems with the EP3 that made me sell it? So I sold the car back in October of 2018. So this really goes back to when I initially bought it. It was up in southern Maine. It was essentially outside its whole time during the winters, everything. So the first problem with my EP3, and I feel like most old Hondas have this issue, is rust. The rust was actually unbearable with that car. I've never seen so much rust on a car in my life. Literally the whole underbody was rusted out, which made working on it extremely hard, and justifying keeping it as a long-term car even harder due to the reliability of the chassis. And if I got rear-ended at any point, the car would just basically crunch up into a piece of paper because the rear crash bar was completely gone, completely rusted away. So that's probably the biggest problem with Civics in general and just older Honda products is rust. So it's definitely something to be watching out for if you are looking to pick up an EP3 is the undercarriage and the rust on it. So another problem with the car is I commute a lot, and I live between two states, so I do a lot of driving for hours at a time, and the EP3 seats are just awful. I mean, they support you in terms of, oh my god, this person almost hit me. Vermont drivers suck, by the way. Oh my god. Anyways, so the seats, they hold you in place pretty well. They have great side bolsters, but in terms of lumbar support and overall comfortability of the car, I don't even think you could describe the car as comfortable or anything near the word comfortable. It's pretty rough. So that's definitely another reason why I sold it, and definitely a big problem with the EP3. I know it's more of a sports type of car, if you want to call it that, and it's more geared towards that audience, but there's no armrest, there's no anything, so like the creature comforts of the car is very minimal, and it definitely made it hard to daily all the time, as it would create aches and pains, and that might have just been my seats were original, but in general the seats just weren't really comfortable and didn't really have much adjustability, and in terms of interior comfort such as armrest, etc., there really wasn't much. So definitely another reason, and definitely another problem with the EP3 in general. So this is a specific problem with my car. My car didn't have AC and cruise control. I mean, AC is pretty easy to fix. The condenser had a fucking hole in it. I don't know how the fuck that happened, but it had a hole in it. I never bothered to fix it, so I can't really complain about not having AC, but definitely was something that would have been nice, as my car was a little bit low and it was black, and oh my god, that car was literally in the summer, it was literally the definition of fucking hell. I mean, it was like 150 degrees in that car all the time in the summer, and like it would be like a fucking workout just to sit in the car for 5 minutes. Like, you would be sweating your fucking ass off. It'd be disgusting. So definitely something that was like really gross and just not fun to deal with was just how hot the fucking car got, and the lack of AC. I mean, the AC is on my part, but that fucking car gets so hot. It might be due to it's a fucking glass bowl, and just the sun gets trapped in and creates a greenhouse effect, but it's definitely probably one of the hottest cars I've ever sat in my life, and definitely it's not great. And my car didn't have cruise control. They do come standard with cruise control. Mine has the buttons for cruise control, but I've had it looked at. I've looked at it myself. Everything should be in order for cruise control, but it doesn't have cruise control, so I always had to drive with my foot on the pedal for the long drive. So that definitely did not aid in the long distance comfortability of the car. So definitely more of a specific on my car, but definitely the heat thing is unreal, and you definitely need to bring a water bottle if you really go anywhere without AC. So Yeah. So I'm not sure if it was my specific car or not, but the suspension in these cars, the stock suspension, is god awful. Even stock, it rides so rough. And my struts might have been blown, I'm not sure, but it might just be a hatchback thing as well, but the suspension was just really rough, even at stock height, and every small bump you hit was like you hit a fucking like boulder. It was quite unbearable, and I mean, like, all in all, I mean, the car, it's a good daily for some things in terms of, the engine is incredibly reliable. The K23 is like a tank. And it gets really good fuel economy. I was getting like 35, 36 mpg, even with all the mods. So that's all great, and the hatchback is great because you have the extra space. But that's sort of where it ends for that car for a daily driver, and that's one of the main reasons I wanted to get out of a car, out of this current car that I have now, is a better daily and just overall just a better experience to drive. The EP3 was fun. It had its moments of fun, but in the long term it was just always a headache, and once again mine did have a lot of rust and just a lot of other issues with it, but in general just the car wasn't a great daily for me, so I decided to sell it and then move on to something that's a bit more comfortable and less hot. So we can't really talk about the EP3's problems without speaking briefly on the styling. I have said that the styling is not bad. It really isn't. It's unique per se. It is unique. I mean, it's definitely unique, but I don't know, it could have been a lot of things, but like the styling, it was always like a love-hate relationship with that car. Some days I was like, ooh, dang girl, and other days I was like, oh shit, the fuck is that? And it was just never like consistent, so it was very hard to like just really always be like, wow, I really like how this car looks and drives, etc. So I think that's just more of just my personal preferences in cars. Some days it looked great, some days it didn't. Depends on the angle you're looking at it from. My paint was also awful. I know that generation of Honda typically has paint issues, which doesn't aid in the looks. So there's like a lot of things that were not for the car. I mean, the car did have its strengths, but the problems definitely outweighed the strengths. So in summary, basically, the problems with my specific EP3, and it might span across to EP3s in general, were definitely rust issues. It gets really fucking hot inside in the summers. Paint issues and just like general like creature comfort issues that it definitely lacks. And then the styling's kind of up in the air. I mean, it's like one of those things that you sort of have to force yourself to like, and you might like it. It's different, and if you like different, it's definitely a great car. And there's definitely great talking points on the car as well, such as engine reliability. It's fun to beat on, etc. And so it's definitely not a bad car in any means, but it was definitely not a great car. My specific car was definitely not a great car for me in terms of long run ownership. So it's definitely not the perfect car for that. And I think I've transitioned to a different car that will fulfill those needs a lot more. And it's still kind of similar to the EP3 in terms of it's more of a economy car, but it has its fun twist on it. But yeah, so that's just sort of a brief overview of why I sold my EP3 and some of the problems I encountered when owning the EP3. If it's requested, I can definitely go more in depth on EP3s in general. I've owned one. I owned one for around a year, and I definitely went in depth in terms of doing work on it and stuff. So I definitely know a good deal about them. And if you have any questions, just let me know. But other than that, I'm definitely going to talk about the new car I bought in more depth and why I chose this car specifically, because I was looking between like 5 or 10 other cars and ranging in different power levels and trim levels and all that kind of stuff in years. So, and I can definitely go into depth why I bought this car over any other car in the next video. But yeah, thanks for watching, and peace out.